in the Bhagavad Gita is given the secret. In the Bhagavad Gita is given the law of attraction. In the Bhagavad Gita is given the process of manifestation. What guarantee do we have that this will happen? Following this path, even if we give up everything, we will gain everything. Do what you do, but recognize the underlying divinity. This is the true way of manifestation. One of the biggest movements in the world today is the law of attraction. This process is about using the laws of nature, the laws of our universe, to manifest any and everything that our heart may desire. One of the limitations is that even though we may be able to attract and manifest any and everything that we may want, are we willing to face the consequences of what we manifest? If we want to manifest wealth and use that for our own sensual gratification, are we willing to accept the consequences of that? Bhagwan in chapter 3 explains many principles of manifestation, but each and every one of those are connected to the higher. We learn the 3 specific principles that he gives us. Firstly, to recognize the divine. Secondly, to sacrifice the ego. And thirdly, to act free from attachment. Apart from these 3 principles, he gives us the process of visualization in Hinduism known as upasana. And finally, if nothing else works, he gives us the secret ingredient of manifestation, which is known as Shraddha. All of these videos have been shot, and if you want to watch them, click on the links in the description below. And so, as we progress through chapter 4, Bhagwan starts to speak of manifestation again. But today, we will focus on manifestation from the perspective of the power of the mind. The mind is criticized quite often on the spiritual path as being unsteady, which it is. But the mind is also very powerful. Once there was a man who wanted to manifest his heart's desire. He wanted a better house, he wanted more money, he wanted more fame, and he set out trying to manifest this. On the way, he met a genie, and that genie said to him, I will manifest anything that you want. My only condition is that you have to make sure that there is work for me. If there is no work for me, then I will devour you. The man accepted this condition and took the genie home with him. With this genie, he was able to manifest a number of things. But then he started to get worried. What if I run out of things to give this genie? Will this genie devour me? So, in order to get an answer to this question, he went to a sage and asked him for advice. The sage told him, in your backyard, build a giant pole. And whenever you have nothing to give the genie, tell him to slowly climb up the pole, stay there for a second, and then slowly come down. And to keep doing this until you give him the next instruction. And once the genie has fulfilled this instruction, tell him once again to keep going up and down the pole. In this way, the man was able to keep the genie occupied and also manifest all of his desires. Now, this is just a story, but in the story is a deep meaning. That genie that can fulfill all of our desires is the mind. But the mind is such that if it has nothing else to do, it will devour us. It will overcome us. So we attach the mind to a pole. What is this pole? This pole is the awareness of the divine. And in going up that pole, the mind elevates itself through meditation, through sadhana. And having gone up, it stays there for a second in awareness of the divine and then slowly descends to act in the world. In this way, we can take this mind of ours that is powerful in its own right, but also wild. We can take that wild mind and divinize it. And in divinizing it, we can manifest anything. How do we know this? Well, Bhagwan says in the Bhagavad Gita, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tams tathaiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvasha. In whatever way men approach me, even so do I reward them. My path do men tread in all ways, O son of Prutha. In the Bhagavad Gita is given the secret. In the Bhagavad Gita is given the law of attraction. In the Bhagavad Gita is given the process of manifestation. And how does this manifestation take place? Well, Bhagwan as Ishvara has created the superstructure called Maya. And that Maya Shakti is able to take the Sankalpa or vision that we have created in our mind. When that Sankalpa is attached to karma, which is action, it results in the manifestation of what we desire. This is Bhagwan's promise. He says, Ye yatha mam prapadyanti. As people approach me, tam sadaiva bhajamyaham. So too do I reward them. And he says, Mama vartmanu vartante. My way, manushya partha sarvasha. Do men walk at all times. In giving this guidance though, Bhagwan makes two caveats that might not be visible to us when we first see it. The first caveat is, if our manifestation is driven by our ego, then Bhagwan will make us face those consequences. Bhajamyaham, I will give you what you want, but that also includes the consequences for what you want. The Kauravas wanted the kingdom. They got the kingdom, but they also got the consequences of the way they acquired that kingdom, which was ultimately their own death and destruction. The second caveat that Bhagwan gives, when our manifestation is driven by ego and ego-based desires, then what is quickly obtained is also quickly lost. Kankshantah karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devataha kshipram hi manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja. They who long for satisfaction from actions in this world make sacrifices to the divine natural energies, because satisfaction is quickly obtained from actions in the world of objects. So Bhagwan's implied guidance here is seek the permanent. How do we seek the permanent? Say for example, if we want exam success, ultimately what we're looking for is knowledge. So instead of the result of the exam success, let us search for knowledge. And the highest knowledge is divine knowledge, known as Sat or Satya. Similarly, if we are searching for money, what we are really searching for is various experiences. And all experiences have a divine source. This is known as Chit. If we are searching for joy from family, friends, connections, fame, really what we are searching is joy. And the highest joy is divine joy, that is known as Anand. In this way, the divine is described as Sat Chid Anand. And we are told to pursue this rather than the limited shadows that we may pursue and try to manifest. Don't get me wrong, I am not saying stop pursuing wealth. I am not saying stop working hard for the benefit of your family. What I am saying is recognize the source in all of that seeking. Recognize that the joys that I get from money have a divine source, and instead of pursuing just money, also pursue its divine source. Recognize that the joys of my family life that I am looking for, the service that I want to give to my family, I am best able to give it when I recognize the divine source in all of my family members. In recognizing this divine source, we are able to serve our family even better. Do what you do, but recognize the underlying divinity. This is the true way of manifestation. Following this path, even if we give up everything, we will gain everything. How do we know? Well, there's a beautiful story in the Ramayana. Ravan has two main brothers, Kumbhakarna and Vibhishan. Kumbhakarna recognizes Ravan in kidnapping Sita Ma has done something wrong. But Kumbhakarna says, my duty is to be your brother and help you, so I'm going to stay and help. Vibhishan, on the other hand, says, my duty as a brother to you, O Ravan, is to advise you to follow the right path. And so he advises Ravan to return Sita and seek forgiveness. When Ravan does not listen, Vibhishan gives up everything that he has and goes to align with Bhagwan Sri Ram. This is not a small step. Vibhishan didn't know if Bhagwan was going to be successful in this war. Vibhishan nevertheless gave up his position, gave up his wealth, gave up his security, gave up his protection, gave up his status, so much so that he gave up his own family to go to the feet of the Lord. And in doing so, in choosing the divine, he received everything. That's why in the Hanuman Chalisa it is said, Tumharo mantra vibhishana mana lankeshwar bhaya sab jag jana. What guarantee do we have that this will happen? Well, Bhagwan himself says, Vitaraga bhayak krodaha manmaya mamupashritaha bahavo jnana tapasa puta madbhava magataha. Freed from attachment, fear and anger, absorbed in me, taking refuge in me, purified by the fire of knowledge, many have attained my being. Bhagwan tells us to connect to the source, and connection with that source will free us from attachment, fear and anger. And if you want to learn more about attachment, fear and anger, click on the description and a link below. We have a dedicated video on this. Not just one, two, not just Arjuna, not just a select few, but many have attained to my being, Bhagwan says. As seekers, as students of the Bhagavad Gita, we are already seeking more than just the standard fare that life has to offer. Here, Bhagwan is revealing that we can get everything. What more is there for a seeker than to attain to the divine themselves? So if we have to manifest, let us use these principles of manifestation to manifest a higher, a diviner version of ourselves, where we may gain everything, but in gaining everything, we have also kept an uninterrupted awareness of the divine. These great secrets are contained in the Bhagavad Gita, which as Seva we have been bringing to you. I hope that this service has been of benefit to you. And if it has been, then please do share it with others who may also benefit. And it doesn't stop here. So if you want to hear more such wisdom from the Bhagavad Gita, then do subscribe. This will keep you notified of any future videos and is a small step for you, but has a big impact for us. Thank you for joining us. I wish you the very best in applying these principles in your own life. My name is Dhumatkar, and I will see you again very soon with more wisdom from the Bhagavad Gita and from Hindu Shastra. Namaste.